Welcome to the LowCarbUSA podcast, where we seek to inspire you to help us build this community. I'm Doug Reynolds.
And this is Pam Devine.
Okay, so welcome everyone. I have Kevin Carter here today with me, and he's one of the producers of a new movie that's coming out called Animal, and really talking about the real benefits of the carnivore diet and why it is that really, as we've evolved, that is how we should be eating. And we can talk about it more, Kevin, but we were talking off air a little bit beforehand about why make a movie like this. And there's so much brainwashing out there and misinformation leveled at everybody, from the vegan community and the plant-based communities, about climate change, about meat's going to give you cancer, about you should only eat plants. And really the need for this is to counter all of that misinformation and give people the other side of the story, so that intelligent people can listen to it and say, wait a minute. So I mentioned to you off air as well, is that our community pretty much, if they're listening here, are already on board with the ketogenic diet and a lot of them the carnivore diet. But I think would be very interested in the movie itself, what it took to how you came up with the idea, what it took to make it, how much traveling you had to do. Let's talk about the reality of making this happen. So yeah, welcome.
Awesome. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it. Well, this is Friday Eve. I don't know when this goes out, but this is now Friday Eve. So happy Friday Eve to you. So, we started making this film. We went about it exactly as you said. We felt there wasn't a balanced amount of information out there for the entire health spectrum of different ways of eating. Especially lately, you've seen a lot of vegetarian documentaries, vegan documentaries. The most popular was Game Changers that came out. And there was never really a counter side of it. And just a little bit about my background. I've worked in the film industry for years. I did movie marketing. And so coming into this space, it was led by our co-producer, Vinny Lingham. He co-produced the film. He also executive produced the film. And he started trying the carnivore diet a couple of years ago and saw a lot of great success. And I saw it right in front of him, right in front of me. And then, over time, he got off it for a variety of reasons and then felt worse and then got back on it. So as he was first explaining it to me, honestly, I wasn't really buying into it. I'm someone that's always been into health and fitness. I played sports my whole life. I was in the military. It was always kind of front and center, at least like talking about fitness. So, you're always hearing the normal stuff like eat this, don't eat that, eat this. So I probably had like a higher base level of understanding than health than like your average person that doesn't really do anything, health and fitness wise. And he was saying all these things to me, and I was just like, this sounds like complete BS, basically. Like, what do you just eat meat all the day? Like, you don't eat any vegetables? Like, and I was not a kid that didn't eat his vegetables because they were like weird or anything. I always ate my veggies. And, over time he was explaining it to me, and kind of how it really kicked off for me is we did a podcast. So me and Vinny have started this company called H2O Studios. It's the company that produced this film. And so before that, we were doing a podcast together. And on one of the episodes, we had what ended up being our host in Animal, Zane Griggs, on the show. And Vinny and Zane were just talking about health and fitness. Zane works in the health and fitness space and said a lot of interesting things during the episode. And at the end of it, Zane and I were just chatting, and he asked me what I put in my shake in the morning. Because, we were talking about like, what do you eat in the morning? I was like, oh, I have like a shake. He's like, what do you put in? I was like, oh, like berries and protein and spinach and all that. And he's like, okay, hold on. Why do you put spinach in your shake? And I paused and I was like, what kind of fucking question is, like, what kind of question is that? What do you mean? Like protein or like Popeyes, like spinach. Everyone knows this. We've seen this for decades. Like, what kind of question is this? And he's like, anything that you think you're getting in spinach, you can get much more of it in more bioavailable amounts in meat. And I kind of just stood there for a second, kind of fuming a little bit because I was like, who the hell does this guy think he is telling me not to eat spinach? But at the same time, I'm like, I didn't know why I was eating it. And so I was like, it was kind of like one of those moments where I was like, I could be a hardhead in my previous life. So it's kind of a fork in the road, like keep being hardheaded or be like a slightly more open-minded, at least until I find an answer to the question that I probably should have known the answer to, but I just wasn't doing. And I realized that I was just doing this thing that everyone told me what you were supposed to do, but I didn't really know why. So that kind of like triggered this whole like growth for me. And then right after that, we had another conversation in the same room, basically, 5 minutes later. And then he was like, "Oh, like you don't have to be worried about saturated fat." And I was like, "What the hell? What are you talking about? Yes, you do. It like clogs up your arteries, like gives you a heart attack." And he's like, "No, it doesn't." And then I started getting really mad. I was like, "What is this guy just like?" I'm having like an existential crisis at this point. Like, what's this guy talking about? But I'd already committed to learning about spinach in my head, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go figure this out about saturated fat and come back and just like tell him that he has no idea what he's talking
Just
about
blow
and
him
like
away. Yeah.
just blow him away."
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was the one that was blown away as I did more research. And telling this story, it sounds like it was kind of like, bam, bam, boom, like, heard that, had that conversation with him on Monday, and then by Tuesday, I was like full carnivore, but that's not the reality of what happened at all. It started out with those conversations, and then that triggered me doing some more research. And then honestly, it was like months of kind of like decoupling from everything that we know, because it's really like it's everywhere, advertisements, the way that you talk to people. It's just everywhere you see. It's the food pyramid. You go online, you see it. It's just all these places. And so decoupling from that takes quite a while. So, as I mentioned before, Vinny was on the diet. He went off. So we talked about it a little bit less. And then he went back on it. And then he was like, hey, let's make this film. And at that point, I was like starting to come around a little bit, but still wasn't quite there. And then I started doing some research on this community and then saw that there is a huge community online for the carnivore diet and really like eating more meat in general, but like specifically for like the carnivore diet. And I had no idea that this existed. So part of the reason I mentioned I worked in movie marketing is like I'm used to recognizing these type of signals for like an opportunity essentially. And so we did some research on Google Trends, Answer the Public, to see like search engine data from all like the major platforms, so like Meta, TikTok. So Meta being YouTube, or I'm sorry, Instagram and Facebook, X, and then Google as well, so like Google and YouTube. And what we found across the board, literally across the board, is that vegan and vegetarian would always be ranked, around 10 or 15 out of 100 on these scales. They're always out of 100. And then keto was like right above them, around like 25 or something for search engine data over the last 12 months. And then carnivore was at like 90. Like huge gap in interest in the amount that people are searching on these search engines. And that for me was like, holy crap. So then we started looking into the market, and there's no premium media product that services that interest. So we were like, okay, like Vinny has started this, kicked this thing off, of saying that this is really something interesting that we should do. I have like a marketing background. I can at least like market the thing. And it's like, okay, well then who's going to make the thing too? So then we brought in Josh Feldman, who's our director, who wrote it, directed it, also co-produced it with us. And then that's kind of the full story of the genesis of Animal.
Yeah, and I see. So I wanted to talk to you a bit about what it took to make it, and because I'm looking at all the people that you had in I mean, we do these events at least twice a year, one in Florida, one kind of San Diego, and then now and again when we get talked into it, we'll do a third one somewhere in the middle of the year. Um, but we have a lot of very high profile people that come and speak here, and like three-quarters of them are in your movie. Anthony Chaffee's been at a number of our events. Robert Kiltz hasn't yet, but he's coming to speak in San Diego in August. Ken Berry's been at a few. Rob Cywes has been at like every one almost. Shawn Baker's been at a couple as well. Sally Norton's even spoken at our events as well. So these people are, and I'm familiar with, I was involved in making a documentary called Fat Fiction. So, and I got to know the producers and the director there really well as well. And so I'm kind of very aware of what is involved in trying to do something like this with people distributed like all over the country. And possibly, I don't know if you met Anthony while he was here in the States, but otherwise you would have to go to Perth in Australia to
Yeah.
see him. So yeah, what were the challenges in making this in terms of the distribution of everybody? Did you bring them all in to one place to interview them, or did you travel around? How did you make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of that started with Vinny, our executive producer slash producer as well. He's a connector like no one I've ever met in my life. So he just started connecting with, at first he connected with Zane. So remember Zane was on the podcast. And then through Zane and Vinny, we got connected to all these other doctors. So Zane is, I don't know if you know Zane, but Zane's been to a lot of these events as well. He's connected with many of the doctors. He actually co-wrote a book with Dr. Barry, or Dr. Barry wrote the foreword for Zane's book.
Or his,
So like, connected us with him, and then like, Zane connected us. I can't remember who exactly he connected with, but like everyone, once we got in, like we were just being connected, boom, 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 boom. We need to be connected to someone else. Vinny would just like DM them, they would respond. And so we just grinded out and got everyone into one place for the most part. So we flew everyone into Los Angeles and we shot here. Well, at least like some of the interviews, not all of them. But we shot like let's see, probably like 5 or 6 of them in Los Angeles. So like Dr. Barry, Dr. Cywes, Sally Norton, Dr. Chaffee, Dr. Baker, those ones for sure. I think that's about it. And then we shot others on location. So we didn't go to Australia to shoot Dr. Chaffee. He was already in the US.
right.
But we shot in Texas a bunch too. We shot in Wyoming. We shot in Tennessee. And we also shot in the UK. We got Eddie and Selena Abu, and we shot them in the UK. So yeah, I mean, getting everyone together was very difficult because of that. But luckily we had, a great team that was able to be flexible and nimble, and we shot, on location, very lean. And then beyond that, it was just we brought on an excellent line producer. He's an Emmy award nominated line producer. He just did a show with Zoe Deschanel before us. He was just so connected and being like, yo, we want to shoot in Wyoming. Like, what do you got? And he's like, I know people on the ground. And I'm like, how do you know anyone in Wyoming? So he was just a fantastic connector too. And when you hear this all the time across all industries, but I really think in this one, maybe even more than others, but just like who is so important, because like so much of this was just pure relationships, knowing this person, knowing that person. I mean, even the person that's like helping with my PR was through our line producer and all that. And it's yeah, I mean, it's been quite an undertaking, but for a film that we made and are releasing self-distributing, actually, and we can talk about that too if you guys are at all interested in that. But it's been quite the ride, and it's really just flexibility and relationships that have allowed it to happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, look, I put these events on, and obviously they're at a certain date, and all of these speakers come in and make time to be there to be able to come and speak. But I know outside of that, just trying to get a Zoom call with our board of directors, which is like 6 people that are around the country, like literally trying to have a board meeting, and it's like it's herding cats, man. It's like it's impossible to get them all available at the same time. So for you to get everybody together in one place at one time is kind of impressive. But you mentioned distribution, so that's very interesting, because I asked you earlier and I don't think I got an answer from you. But when is it coming out, and where and how, and how's this distribution working?
Yeah, so the film comes out June 20th, Friday, June 20th. It'll be in select theaters and digitally same day. So the theatrical cities are LA, New York, Austin, Houston, Dallas, and Vegas. So you just have to go to fandango.com, open it up if you live in any of those cities, and it'll geolocate you right to your nearest theater that's playing it. And then it'll be on digital the same day, so June 20th, Amazon, Apple, Fandango at Home, Microsoft, DirecTV, anywhere and everywhere that you can buy and rent movies. It'll be available on June 20th. And if you are interested in bringing Animal to your community, but it's not in the theatrical cities, then you can go on to animal.movie/how-to-watch, and then go down to click host a screening. And we've partnered with a company called Gather that allows you to demand the film to your local city. So you can host a screening, and if enough people sign up for it, you can play it in your local AMC, Regal, Cinemark, etc. You can also do non-theatrical screenings too. So if you want to show it at your local community center or anything, you can do that as well. So we have a small theatrical footprint, but if you want to expand, you don't see your city on that list, this is the best way to do it. And it's no risk. If enough people sign up, the event goes forward to cover your costs. If enough people don't sign up, then the film just doesn't go forward. So
that screening doesn't go
exactly.
ahead.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I think there's I know that fiction, the plan was we were going to do something like that where people were going to try and do screenings in their hometowns and stuff like that. But like that happened like right as COVID happened, and so
Oh, wow.
so
Yeah.
it literally just that none
Yeah.
of that stuff happened, and it went straight to streaming.
Mm.
But there was a lot of interest from our community in trying to do these screenings before it all fell apart.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. I will put it in the notes as well. You've mentioned it here.
Thank you.
And yeah, I can probably edit this through the next couple of days. I didn't realize we were that close to the launch. So I'm going to try and get this out this weekend.
Amazing. Thank you.
And so that's ahead of your launch, and people can. I encourage you, if you're listening, go and do something, because first of all, it's a lot of fun. Yes, it's a bit of work, but it's just to get everybody together, just create such a cool environment. And I really encourage people to go out and do that. And on the other side of it, it's going to help you, and it's going to help get this message out, which is what we started talking about right in the beginning was, and also off air before we started, I said to you, look, our community knows all about this, so we don't need to talk about the basics of what this stuff is teaching. But as I was talking to you, what kind of occurred to me is that what it does is give you a playbook, or a tool chest of comebacks. Because it happens to me. I mean, I'm immersed in this. I've been for the last 10 years, and yet we'll be somewhere at the airport or something, I don't know, wherever the conversation comes up, and somebody makes some ridiculous remark about something that's totally uneducated. And at that moment, like, I've got a mouthful of teeth. It's like, other than saying that's ridiculous, I don't actually have the words to counter that ridiculous statement. And what was occurring to me as I was watching, because I luckily got a sneak preview of this movie, what occurs to me is that it explains why it works, why the other stuff doesn't work, why plant-based doesn't work. Sally's going into all the stuff about oxalates and all of that kind of stuff, and how those anti-nutrients basically fight against us. We had I think it was even the same event that Sally was at. Dr. Georgia Eid was there, and her talk was something about meat is a superfood and plants are trying to kill you. That was literally the title of her talk. And that's mentioned in this movie. But it explains in nice, easily, because I think my problem is often that I've got all of this scientific stuff, but to try and talk to someone in an airport or in an elevator somewhere, I don't have that level of verbiage in my repertoire. And I think this is going to be, listen to this a couple of times, and it will give you something to come back with when people ask about it. And that leads to a much better conversation when people actually ask about it. But when people make categoric, ridiculous statements, at least you have a toolbox of information to be able to come back and at least give them an alternative look at things.
Yeah, 100%. And
So,
it's 88 minutes long. It's like you can get a high level understanding of most of the stuff within these 88 minutes.
right.
And because it is super dense and we could go a lot deeper on all these topics, but it's I actually wrote that down. I think that's a funny way to say it. It's like the film for comebacks, and it's totally
Yeah.
true. Like that's really what it should be, right? And instead of trying to convince them in those 5 seconds you see them at the airport or something, you're just like, look, you're about to go get on a flight, send them the link, watch this film. If you don't agree with
Right.
it, but like at least
Yeah.
you're gonna have like a different perspective. So
Yeah.
that's
And you got a
what
couple
I'm
of little tidbits that you can say, like, it's not really like that. It's like this.
yes.
Here's a link. Go and watch this movie when you
Yep.
get home.
Yep.
And yeah, they get the rest of the information in there, but you've at least had something to say to them that hopefully triggers an interest in going back and actually looking it up and going to watch it.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, that was a toolbox of comebacks. That's
Yeah.
a really cool way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
So
You
yeah, I'm
work for me. I
excited.
need you on the marketing campaign. I need more of this.
I'm excited that this is coming out. It's really needed to balance all the misinformation that's being put out there at a prolific rate. And and it's going to be provide an opportunity for people to have some fun with it, and they can go out. Please, people, go and try and find a little local cinema, and if you can't do that, do it in your church hall or something like that, and get a group of people. It's amazing.
Yes.
In these towns all around America, it's amazing how if you suddenly put some out and say, hey, we're going to do something about the carnivore diet or the ketogenic diet, how many people will actually show up?
Yeah.
So put yourself out a little bit and get on the website and set something up in your town. I think it would be a lot of fun.
Make a difference in your community. Look,
Yeah, absolutely.
We're all have all these chronic diseases. We're all getting diabetes and we're all having mental health crises. Like none of this needs to happen. This isn't normal. We need to stop pretending that it is. So if you just, it may seem like a lot of work, but if you look at it through the lens of I'm going to help heal my community, it gives you so much motivation to get this done. Because when you start understanding this stuff, like I started to understand, I was like, my God, like, why is this all happening? And there's a lot of reasons, but fundamentally, we do not need to live this way, and this is not normal for us too.
Yeah. And everybody's being taught the wrong stuff. And this is one of the few times where it actually gets counteracted.
Yeah.
We see that in our events. Like we've been doing this for 10 years. I think this one coming up in San Diego is the 24th event that we've put on. And when every now and then somebody tells us a story or something that we become aware of what a difference we've made. How many people we've been able to influence in some way, and how that ripple has gone from there to looking at all the people that they reach, and and that whole ripple effect. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I often end off my conferences at the end saying, like, anybody can make a difference by giving people hope.
Yes.
And everybody, any person can change the world just by giving people hope. And this is a way to be able to reach the people in your community. And you might think you're just an average Joe, but you can make a difference. And
yes,
I'd love for it. And I'll reach back out afterwards, I think, and see if I can get some stories from people that managed to put this out on in their town or their city or whatever.
Yeah. We've
Um,
already had like booking requests, and we have someone that's going to do it in Australia. We have someone that's going to do it in New York, someone that's going to be doing it here in Orange County, California. And that's over just the last day. So as the film comes out and it gets more and more play, I think you're going to see these numbers of just more and more cities popping up and people hosting screenings.
and so do they have to do it like around the 20th, or can they do it after that?
It would be after the 20th. So it's I forget the exact date that they can do it through, but we can always adjust it if people are actually like, continuing to do it.
All right. So
they're
it's
allowed
not like,
to,
okay, you have to do it like on this
no,
day.
no.
They
The
can
one,
just,
I mean, there's one here, it's like August, there's another one, and I think there's two in August that we're looking at. Someone's looking at
that's
July
brilliant.
right now. The one in Australia that's like already been approved, they're going to go out July 1st. And that one's actually going on a tour. They're going to do 5 different cities in Australia.
Wow.
That's how
Wow,
the word
that is
that's how it's
super,
going.
because I even thought that this was going to, like, they would have to organize a screening for a particular date, like the launch date or whatever.
Nope.
But if they can do it any time, then that's just much more flexible.
Yeah.
And now I'm even more excited. I want to hear from you guys that are listening to this. Like, who of you are going to go out? Write to me. Write to our support at lowcarbusa.org and tell us that you're going to do this. I can forward the information to you as well. We can
Please.
make a big thing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I
that's
mean, that's how
awesome.
this film really goes atmospheric, is the grassroots community taking a hold
Yes,
and becoming
exactly.
evangelists for the film. Then this is the best way to do it.
All righty. Well, I'm so glad that we had this talk, because now I feel like we can actually contribute to the efforts here and get people to
Yes.
to get out there, and we'll put it in our newsletter as well. So people
Thank
that
you.
don't listen to the podcast, a lot of people that are on the newsletter that don't listen to this. So
Amazing. Thank you.
yeah, no, we need to get this message out.
100%. We need to heal the world.
Yep. One meal at a time, as Tim Noakes said. That was
Yep.
the thing that really appealed to Pam. We spoke to him when we were in Cape Town years ago, and she did a bit of an interview with him as well, and like that was what his comment was, like, we had to change the world one meal at a time, not even one person at a time. Like, and that really resonated with her. So this is
It's
cool.
a small, easily achievable goal, and then you just stack wins, and then that becomes a new habit.
Right. Okay, Kevin, that was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, man. You've been listening to an episode of the Low Carb USA podcast. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/lowcarbusa.